growth as an individual. Because you got to have a reference point to be able to say, are you really growing or are you just stuck in the same place? You got to have something to base it off of. This is why you hear gods and earths, whether they know it or not, constantly referring back, constantly referring back to Allah, the firstborns, those that they taught the first group. You hear people constantly referring back to them because they are considered to be reference points when it comes to these teachings. They considered to be those that were models. And when we talking about reality, we talking about the truth, we talking about reality. We're not talking about something that don't exist. And when I'm saying something that don't exist is no matter how hard you search for it, no matter how hard you try to achieve it, it won't happen because it don't exist. Yet, you could be fed something as a little child and you accepted what you heard as a little child because you trusted the people unconsciously. You trusted what they said. Most of the things that was told to us as children are things that really hinder our growth and development as people, specifically black people, but all people on the planet who believe in a mystery God. All people who believe in a mystery God, whether you're black, brown, yellow, white, half original, or red, that hinders your real growth and development, meaning the potential that you possess as a human being to evolve to higher levels, meaning divine. Our actual nature is divine beings. Yet, to keep us in the position that we have been in for the last 6,000 years as a total population, but specifically black people here in America, our condition from the beginning in relationship to the Caucasian was slavery. We all know that, it was slavery. And if you study the document that they utilized to set the basis of how they would govern themselves, that document never had anything in there that said we would be free. That wasn't in there. When they wrote this document down, we were slaves. So the vision that they had for this country positioned us to be slaves in that vision. The whole plan that they had for their children, because they talk about the future, their posterity, going forward. This is the vision we got for the United States of America. We were not included as participants of sharing in the growth and development profit.
Peace. Peace to the God first. Peace. Everybody, peace. I'll be with y'all next week.
Yeah, they never intended for us to partake in the profits of the bill. Their goal was to use us to build it. And because of that, they had to do something psychologically to us. They had to do something to your mental so that you would be a good what? Slave. You have to be a good worker. Even if you're at a job, the people who run the company want good workers. They want people who can do the job very well for less pay as possible. That's the art of what they call capitalism. They try to get as much as they can out of 1 cent, out of $1. That is based off of slave labor concept, right? So if you have someone that you have designated to be the labor force to build your wealth, you have to keep their mind off of ever recognizing that this could actually be a life for them. You know what I'm saying? Like being an owner. Owning parts of the land that we walk on. Owning institutions that we see around that's structured on the land. You see what I'm saying? That thought can't be in your head as a slave. Because you can't be a slave like that. Those two thoughts can't coexist in your mind. Meaning your desires, the things that you desire for yourself as a person, you're a man, you're a woman, coexist in a relationship, have children. The idea of what is to be the lifestyle that you're supposed to live It can never be given to you that your real potential is to be a maker and an owner and to participate on the level of equality with the rest of the planet of people. Right? So each level calls for a different responsibility, a different skill set, a different part of education. Because it's all based off education. It's all based off of what you know and what you can utilize to get the best out of your life. Meaning that you live in every day. You need food, clothing, and shelter. Those are the basic necessities that you got to have in order to physically exist. You gotta have it. No matter how you like it, no matter how you feel about it, this must take place or your physical existence will begin to deteriorate at a rapid pace. Your physical existence is going to deteriorate anyway, because that's what you do as you live. You physically one day die. But if you don't have the basic necessities, you speed up that process because you begin to have bad health. You understand? The bad health is coming from the lack of adequate knowledge on what you must do to maintain your body and your mind. But then it also comes down to, even if you got the knowledge of what you need to maintain yourself, you now have to have the finances to go and purchase health care. Before you even get to health care, which is another aspect of how they keep us stuck, but you gotta have access to buy food. You gotta have the money to buy food because the food is the primary sustenance that's gonna keep your body active. Food and water. You basically get water for free, but they sell water too though. However, they don't really give a lot of free food away like that. And if it is, it's not adequate food that nourishes you for real. It might make you feel like you're full, but the stuff that's in it is really slowly causing your body to speed up in decay. It's speeding up the process of physical death without you realizing. So this is all going back to what is the prescribed law of Islam for the said person's that ability. That's the day's degree in the meat lesson. You know, the civilized are held responsible for the uncivilized and must be punished by the nation of Islam. The civilized, these are the people who know what's going on. They are aware of the basic knowledge of self and how you relate this to your everyday life and the people and places and things around you. In this case, this is talking about us as 5%ers. We civilized people. We the ones who have the knowledge and wisdom. We have the understanding. We know who the true and living God is. We teach that. However, that's what you're supposed to do. This degree is telling you if you don't do that, there's a punishment that comes about. And it comes from the Nation of Islam. And in this case, the Nation of Islam is just life itself. Life itself will punish you in a way where you figured out how to make some things in life for yourself. I mean, you figured out how to make some material growth for yourself. But you don't tell other people about how to do it. You don't go to teach them the method on how you achieve this right here. You know some things about how a person should function in a relationship, but you use manipulation in the relationship instead of sharing the reality of the true and living God knowledge. You know that the black man is God, but do you teach this to, do you actually have that conversation in your relationship? Whether they accept it or not, that's on them, but the conversation must occur though. See, some people are going to take the path of least resistance, meaning that I ain't going to bring that up. I'm just going to deal on the base level of the physical and the emotions, because I know that right there is going to be an easy path. But if as soon as I bring up, you know that the black man is God, and not only that, I'm God. Like, what? God? See, that's automatically going to create a conflict in their mind, especially if they was taught this as a child, that there's a mystery God. So these are the things that the 5% was put on the path and the mission to change in the people, but particularly with the children. See, we just focus on the children, it's more easier. You try to focus on adult, but now you still got to have someone that's of your peer group, basically, as your partner to coexist with, to deal with the basic needs of the flesh. So now if you ain't kicking that knowledge to them, you're gonna be punished. You get punished in many different ways, right? So how do we resolve these things that we have, like the condition that we're in? The God was talking about economics. And a lot of times, some of the older generation of 5%ers, they don't like to hear about economics. Because they was told when they was young 5%ers by the father that he don't give money to the 5%ers. Because all they would do is sport and play with it. And that was for little kids though. He didn't live physically long enough to be able to walk with them as adults, like into their mid 40s and 50s. He returned in his early 40s. So it's certain things that he didn't physically show them, but he gave them the basics. That if you have these things rooted in you, it'll eventually come out of you anyway, because it's already in you. And so now when we talk about the economics, it's hard to come with economics in the world of white supremacy and come as the black man being God, though. That's a hard thing to do. Because let's say you build a relationship with the people at the bank. Let's say you build a relationship with some people in the community on the school board. You build a relationship in the community with people that's on city council. It's easy to come in as a Christian. Because that's what basically they're all Christians. But if you coming in saying that the black man is God, it's a wall coming up. Now it comes down to your skill on teaching though. Because why? That's the truth. It ain't like you coming with a lie. You coming with what actually is the truth. But do you have the skill? Because it takes a certain skill to be able to transfer this message and have a person willingly accept it. Or agree to disagree and still walk with you. They don't have to become a 5%, but are you skillful enough to be able to get them to respect what you stand for and y'all still be able to sit at the table and negotiate? That's the supreme power of Allah. Because that's what he did. That's the model. Remember I said we got to have a model to base your growth and development on. You got to be able to have something that you can say, this is the standard. Do I meet this standard? What are the things do I supposed to do as a 5%? What are the things am I supposed to do as God? What are the things am I supposed to do as an earth? How do we know what it is? We got to go back to the root. And some of the things that were at the root was raw down in the dirt because the root is in the dirt. So some of these things that our first generation brothers and sisters went through is not necessarily what you have to do. Not necessarily. It ain't because they did that. They did that because they was down in the dirt. They were establishing a base for us to come and build on later. That's why the Almighty One, the 13th man, was so wise when he said, these things you're going to eventually have to stop doing, such as drugs. You know what I'm saying? He said you're going to eventually have to stop doing that. Even though, okay, he recognized that we was doing it then. He banned it at first, but he seen he was losing them. So he lifted that ban. Okay, just no dope, no pork, no white woman. That was like the main thing then. Okay, I can't get you to stop doing all this other stuff, but this is like mandatory that you stop this. Everything else, you eventually work yourself out of it. You'll grow out of it, because I grew out of it. If you live long enough. Because some of this stuff can kill you early. You might not be able to physically live past it, but now your life will be what? An example for someone else to study. You're like, damn, man. Universal Shamgar, master builder. He didn't live to see 40. You see what I'm saying? Universal Shamgar, he passed away in 1987. Black Messiah, he didn't live, he firstborn. He didn't live. They didn't physically live to really see the gloriness of, like, yo, I'm the God, I mastered certain things. You know, they seen certain things as little kids, teenagers, and early young adults. But their life is an example. You can't use their life in a negative way, like, oh man, he was a dope fiend, or he was doing this, why I'm gonna listen to something like that. Okay, do you know the science of everything in life? Do you know how the dope came into our community? Do you know why these things exist? There's no mystery to it. We were victims of war, still are. It's casualties in war. It's psychological, it's biological, it's chemical. It's a war on all fronts. The lies that's added to your cipher. You know what I'm saying? We're saying the wisdom, but it's lies that's added to the cipher, and they continue daily to teach it. That's why we have to continue to teach. But as we teach, our words gotta transform into things that's tangible. So you can see that, you can touch this. There's no mystery to that. If I tell you, oh, when you die, you can walk through some gates and all that stuff, you can't touch that. You can't see that. You can vision in your mind what it could be, but it ain't right here, right now. It's telling you later it's gonna happen. While they maintain control over everything right now. However, this is the other side to that. We can't sit and wait for those who don't participate. You can't be like, well, yo, man, it should be this many people. I got so many people on the call. We should have this many people on the call. Yo, keep building. All you need is one. Keep building. Allah had justice. He kept building. He didn't have everybody in Temple number 7 with him. He had a fold that he walked with in Temple number 7. He was a part of formation. He was a FOI. They all didn't agree with him. Hardly none of them agreed with him. But he had one, though, that literally agreed with him. And that was Abu Shahid. And then he found another one, which was Justice C. And then he had another one, Ibika. They agreed. They were adults, though. And they collaborated on the mission. Let's go out and get these children. Let's go out and get the young that's out here. And at that time, that was almost impossible to do. And all you gotta do is just walk up the street right here and go try to talk to some of the children. It might be a little bit different over here because we here, but because they kind of familiar with, they had heard, we've been here building in this community for a certain amount of time. It's some of this community that already got the knowledge from their father, and we meet them and say, my name Knowledge. I'm like, oh, your name Knowledge? Who's your father? Type of stuff that go on around here. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, when you hear him saying Knowledge, you already know, okay, somebody in your family is a father sinner. Now, if you say your name was like Kareem, that's kind of, you see what I'm saying? You know you're dealing with Islam, though. But when you say your name is Knowledge, or, you know, my name is Born, that lets me know what path those were traveling who made you. Now, the side of that is now we see them and we build with them, and it brings back certain things to their mind that they might not really have understood when they were little babies. But it's there though, it's buried. That's why I say, yo, many of them have what? Recovered. They recovered from what? A mental death. That means at one time they were mentally alive. At one time, it was an awareness of the truth. It got buried. And now we are the resurrectors of the dead. And the scripture tell you about a resurrection. So we're in alignment with something that's already was put in motion way before we physically came into existence. So we move with a force, if you rooted with it, that can't be stopped because it's already predicted. Now, the part that a lot of people kind of like don't recognize is, it didn't say it's going to be easy though. It's challenges along the way. It's challenges that are dangerous challenges. It's dangerous challenges along the way. Because now, if Walmart, Amazon, they stable pillars in the world of economics, Apple, everything good in their lifestyle right now. So you don't see what considered to be the fangs come out. Or like, you know, the ferociousness that we see in what they call a scary movie. You know, oh, it's a scary movie, it's a demon in it. Or you see all that stuff like that, right? The actual ones that's that, you might not see them in them right now. Let them begin to lose their luxury though. And you begin to inherit the luxury. Then you're going to see that. That's when that type of stuff is going to come out. Because they're going to fight to the death to preserve theirs. That's why we must be on a certain wavelength of unity when we keep building and expanding and scaling things like this. See, it's a certain fear. Let me go back to the part that I was building from the beginning because I'm going to lose the whole thing. I'm tied all together, adding my wisdom to the cycle to make it all make sense with the wisdom, right? I say, yo, for you to be a good slave, you can't have certain information. You can't have certain knowledge for you to be a good slave. And that information is, you can't be thinking about being an owner. You can't be thinking about owning parts of the earth and the institutions and establishments that are built on it. You cannot be a good slave that way. So if the slaves wake up and begin to compete for the same resources on the planet that have been hoarded up by the luxury devils, the rich slave makers of the poor, that produces a battle between God and devil. That's the battle they talk about, the holy war in the Revelation. They say it's a holy war. That's what everything is leading to the final showdown. It's a showdown. This is why the young boys kill the way they kill. This is why our young boys kill the way they kill. They know it's a war, but they don't understand what's really going on. It's just something inside of them to make them do that. You know what I'm saying? And the devil know, I got to keep this environment shaped like this to keep that from off of him. What? Me. Because why? Justice has to be served. Think about this, right? In your own life. Have you ever got away with doing wrong for a long time without it catching up? Yeah. You don't get away a long time doing wrong. It catch up sometimes. It catch up.
Justice.
Right. The only reason why it didn't catch the Caucasian white man that's the walking, talking devil is because he was given the power to do that for a certain amount of time. And the only thing that stops it is us. It was put in motion to only be stopped by us. Because there's no mystery God to stop it. See, in the scripture, the people interpret it as it's going to be, because they say that the fight is not with you, it's with the Lord. That keeps you from handling that responsibility because you don't have the proper knowledge yet. You can't try to jump out there and compete with him because he'll stomp you out real fast. Some people say, oh, the 5% is all you do is talk. Y'all ain't did nothing yet. You ain't jump on the Black Panthers. You see what happened to them, right? When the Black Panthers came militant and let it be known, we at war with you. It's a revolution, they told them. You see how they dismantled them?
They changed laws.
Yeah, they dismantled them from the inside. These young brothers had a vision, and the vision was right. It was right, but it wasn't exact. Let me say that. They had the right vision. We need our own. This government is oppressive. It's an imperialistic government. They were in alignment with the world. Because there was a revolution fight all around the world, but the people who took the stance was called communists. China, Vietnam, Korea. These people stood up against capitalists in this era. Certain black people got involved in America, who became known as the Black Panthers. We were already here though, but the Father was all wise. He said, "Oh, that's not the way to go about that. We don't go about that like that. We don't speak against the government." You know why he was so wise? Because he know they'll stump you out. He fought in the military. He know what they'll do. He seen the inside of the government. He was a killer for the government. He was a soldier fighting in Korea. So he know what happens. And then he got the knowledge of himself. He can reflect back on some things he went through and say, oh man, that's why that was like that. He might not have knew at the time he was going through it because he was Clarence Smith. It's just like you in your life. When you get the knowledge, especially if you get the knowledge a little bit older, you can reflect back on some things. You're like, oh man, that's what that was. When you come to that, oh, okay, that's what that was. Oh, that's what they meant. That's what that means. I read the Bible that time, but then when I read it now, that's what that really means. That's the same thing with Allah experience. So my point is, why coming out to Parliament is so important? Why participating in nation events is so important? It's to build the bond. It's to keep the family, the unit, camaraderie. But it has to transfer over to things that consistently be tangible to keep the children, the women motivated, and men too, whose focus might not be that long. You know what I'm saying? To keep you motivated, we gotta keep motivating. And we gotta understand, look, we are a small group that's designed to take on a big thing. Now, the thing is this. It don't take all of us. It don't take all of us to do this. It just take a few who dedicated to it because it's certain Caucasians that's gonna help. See, it's certain people in positions of power, they're gonna help. When you go speak in a certain way to people in the bank, when you go speak to certain people, This is why we here in this building. Like that. This is why we here. We wear the flag. We teach the children the black man is God. They know that. Especially when I'm around, they definitely know that. They know that. Like, it's emphatic. They don't be like, well, we can't give them another grant, or we can't. Now, some people might say that. Look, don't give them no more money. They do that. They do that. Those people that stall them out. We don't do that because, you know, you're going to make it more easy for them to teach people. And now, you know what I'm saying? They come like that. But this is the power. I'm going to end with this part right here, right? Because it was predicted for us to do this, right? It's certain things they can't deny if they want to continue to exist. See, certain white people realize, yo, time out. Let me get down with the winning team. Because I want to preserve a future for my child. I want to preserve a life, you know, that my children can live in. Because I know these people are going to be the ones that's in the leadership and running things in the future. You got some patriotic devils, though. It's like, we refuse to do that. We fight to the end. Like, we're going to, like on the Titanic, we're going down with the ship. We refuse to negotiate with them. You got to be able to distinguish one from the other, though. That's what you got to be able to do. And you know how you distinguish it? When you tell them that the black man is God, and they still deal with you, then that's how you can tell. That's how easy it is. If you come in and try to dress it up and camouflage yourself and don't be who you say you are, and then they find out, that's when they be like, oh. See what I'm saying? You tricked me. And they'll come at you hard now. Because they feel like, yo, look what you did, you know, you got me. But if I come straight up who I am, I give you the opportunity to accept me or reject me in the beginning. And if you accept me, that's a good relationship. That's how Allah had me and Lindsay. He said my name is Allah. He didn't say my name is Clarence. He said my name is Allah. And me and Lindsay said, okay, Allah, look, what you need? I need somewhere for these children to go so they can be educated, get them off the street. Okay. That's how that went down. You see what I'm saying? That's how it went down. But you got to be strong enough to do that, though. This ain't no joke. To carry the name of Allah ain't no joke. That's why the Father told someone, don't tell you God. But they was young. Yo, because they'd kill you. You ain't ready for that. Let me handle that. I got this. Don't you try to be Allah right now. Because some of them start saying, I'm Allah too. He's like, hold up. Don't go around saying that. Because some people are going to come and get you. He understood the magnitude of that. And they understood it from a small level. Oh, I just want to be like my father. I want to, I want that same type of power. But with that same type of power comes certain responsibility. And that responsibility has death attached to it, physical death, if you don't know what you're doing. And somebody said they're willing to die, but you saying you not physically die. So you don't die. You might physically die, but you're still here. Because you're going to die anyway physically. You're going to die anyway. You got to find something to die for in order to really begin to live. If you don't have something that you put in your mind, you know what, I'm willing to die for this. You really don't know what living really about. Because if you just duck in and trying to like make sure I don't want to die, you ain't really living. You can't tell when you start to put that on, I don't want to die, you know, I'm afraid of this. You're not being a real man or woman. You're not really, if you're a coward, you're not being a real man or woman. It's not meant for you to be a coward. It's not your nature to be a coward. It's not. But if you're a slave, you're going to be a coward, though. You're going to be a coward. It's respect between men and men. And if we have to go to a clash and go to war, then that's just how it goes. But the ultimate goal is we're not enemies, though. Yet, if we have to, it's not to be no coward. You can't be no coward about it. If I got to die today, then that's what it is. You know, that's just what it is. This is how it goes down. You're going to fight as hard as you can fight, but sometimes you can't win them all. But as long as you got that, and that's how you live on, though, because it's the respect attached, honor. There's a certain honor to that. Young people inspire, okay, that's what I'm supposed to be. Because when you're a little kid, you got a little fear in you. Because you ain't figured out, you don't know certain things, you ain't got it all the way. But when you develop a true manhood and womanhood in your mind, though, no matter how old you are physically, but if you develop that in your mind at a young age, then you walking in your true essence of self. So I can build like this and keep going like this and I just feel good about it though. You see what I'm saying? Because I love it. Some people can talk about sports this long. I can't. Because they love it though. They go on and time go by. To each his own how they move. Me, this is how I do it. And the reason why I do it this way, because why? When I physically die and I'm no longer here, they're gonna say, Allah King Wize said this. Allah King Wize said that. Because you know why? That's what I do to the older ones who gave it to me when I'm physically. I was like, yo, Allah B said this. Freedom Allah told me this. Freedom said this. That's what I say. Yo, he said this, or he did that. I keep him alive. The name, growing. And literally, they are alive. Because you might think it's some mystery stuff, man. How you mean when they're alive, man? How they still alive? Because, yo, who really are you? The physical shell is really not you. It's a vehicle. It's a wisdom aspect. It's like a shell. It's like a vehicle for sound to travel. Travel 1,020 feet per second. It's for you to interact in the world. It's like electricity. This is like a vessel for electricity. But if the cord and the electricity get cut, does that mean the electricity went away? Yeah. If that cord is messed up right there, does it mean the electricity went away though?
Electricity still exists. Electricity still exists.
Yeah, electricity don't even exist, but it does cut a signal.
Right, it cut the signal away.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm saying that the actual, like you can replace that cord
Right.
and that same, I'm saying that comes out of the socket right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
It's gonna still be there.
Exactly.
That's my point about saying the physical body and what's inside of it.
True.
It's still there. It just has to have a conductor to tap into it. And it goes through the name. It starts with the name, the good name. You see what I'm saying? When you speak about their name, when you constantly bring their name up, it invokes them. They live through you. The life teaching that they experience comes through you. People try to figure out why my magnetism the way it is. Because I constantly give a reference back. I'm not just building off just me. Just here, I'm connected to a whole lot. But I'm connected to it from Allah's mathematics though. Now some people pull from all over the place. And you can be kind of confused like that too. Man, I don't mix the teachers up. You know what I'm saying? I'm pulling strictly from Allah's mathematics. I deal with the 5% teaching. I coexist with Moors, Sunni, Rastas, Hebrews. I have friends in all walks of life. But me, I'm 5%. They know me as Allah King Wize. Ain't no you try to convert me and none of that. That don't happen. We don't have those conversations. You think when Russia and China talk that they trying to convince them? No, they just having business. What we got common ground at? That's it. We got common ground right here. That's peace. We don't have common ground. Keep it moving. It's still peace though. And peace with that. Peace.
Peace. That was peace.